Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Wal-Mart exclusive. Oh geez, Captain Adam Ant! Wait, this is not a Hanna-Barbera video, although they did produce the Super Friends cartoon, so they're more connected than you think. That said, this of course is brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys, and unlike Walmart exclusives of yesteryear, as real Batman, this guy was relatively easy to find. Relatively, okay? I'm gonna just say that right out the gate, because some people may have had a harder time finding it than me, but they had like 10 of these at my local Walmart. In fact, as the time I'm recording this, there's like an army of Black Lightnings there. So hopefully I'll have a review of him going up soon. I don't know. I don't have him yet. I've been kind of holding out because there are so many of them. Personally, I'd rather have a Wave Rider, or that crazy looking Red Hood Arkham Knight looking guy. What's his name? The Midnighter from Target. But, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. And if they don't have it in the store, well then guess what? I can't buy it, can I? I guess there's always the app, but that's not the point. The point is, we got Captain Adam to talk about, who, truth be told, does not have a lot of figures. And if I'm not mistaken, there was not a DC Universe Classics of this guy. Maybe in the Batman Superman Public Enemies wave, but that wave was out of scale with the rest of the DC Classics line. They skewed a little bit taller. Now granted, Captain Adam being a taller character, you could probably fudge that, but there was never a tried and true basic DC Classics buck figure of this character, which is very strange because I do believe there is a Justice League figure, and if I'm not mistaken, I have that somewhere in a bin, buried. But other than that, there's not a lot of figures of this character, and isn't he kind of a big deal? Like, isn't he as popular as, say, Firestorm and the Atom and Hawkman and, you know, people like that? I could be wrong, but last I checked, he was in Justice League Unlimited for more than one episode. The pilot episode, no less. Fought Brimstone with Jon Stewart and Supergirl, which is another Target exclusive I have yet to get my hands on. But let's not talk about my wish list. Let's talk about this figure. Starting off with his accessories, he comes with some effect pieces, which do clip onto his arms quite nicely. Of course, has a collectible trading card with a bio on the back that you can pause and read at your own leisure. Sorry, I must have swallowed the Adam. But either way, that sounded weird. Moving on. You're going to have to pause and read at your own leisure, because I don't know jack squat about this guy other than, I think he's ex-military, right? That said, he can fly and shoot energy blasts and stuff. He's tough as nails, and unlike Superman, I like this character quite a bit. And he pops, man. Look at this silver. A closer look at him, getting him off this hockey puck display stand that comes with most McFarlane Toys releases. The silver is wonderful. I don't know if this is painted or molded, but I don't care. It looks really good. It's not marbly and stuff. It pops. Pops on a shelf. And side note, for those of you who are big Gargoyles fans like myself, Captain Adam here was good old Greg Weisman's first gig in the comic book industry. Greg Weisman, for those of you who don't know, is the creator of Gargoyles. He started with Gummy Bears when he first moved to Disney, and then of course created Gargoyles. He pitched it and ran it and did a really great job with it, because Gargoyles, for those of you who don't know, one of my favorite shows of all time, for good reason. That said, we might not have had Gargoyles if it wasn't for good old Captain Adam here, so hats off to him. And hats off to this really nice buck. It's a pretty standard buck. I would say this is the DC Classics buck in this line. We saw it with the Booster Gold Blue Beetle 2-pack, which, you know, me being the smart guy I am, having storage and can't get to. I do have Deadman, but he's a little bit hard to get to as well. I do have some comparisons for this character. Some characters I may have already mentioned a little bit ago. We'll just have to wait and find out who they are. But really nice figure. really, really nice. I think they did a good job on him, considering he's a simple character. Doesn't need to be crazy great Capullo looking stuff all the time, does it? But as far as articulation goes, really good range in the head there. You can look up and down, tilt side to side, rotate. Shoulders go up, they go down. They rotate all the way around. He's got that butterfly cap thing going on. He's got a bicep swivel, double elbow with a little bit of the Cliffs of Dover going on there. Actually, never mind. I retract that statement. Not enough to do the song. I don't think. What's his bottom joint look like? Not enough to do the song. It's not too gappy there, so we'll give him a pass. He does have the ball hinge wrists. Do move quite nicely. He's got a pretty good torso there. You can crunch back pretty far. You can crunch forward pretty far. You can crunch forward a little bit, not a ton. He does rotate and tilt side to side. His legs can kick forward and back. A little loose on the legs for my liking, but not terrible. I've seen worse. Had worse. They can kick out. He's got a thigh cut there. Does kind of click a bit, but it's fine. Double knee. Nice and tight there. No crazy Cliffs of Dover going on in the knee either. It's a little flat up here. So I'll give him a pass. We'll say you're going to want to pop the knee joint at least once on the top joint, because his ankles don't exactly line up straight, and you got to fidget with them to get them to work. But they are nice and tight. They do have that ball hinge, so they do rotate. They do have a rocker, and they do have the toe joint, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but standing him up here, he does stand all right. He doesn't want to topple over. As long as everything's lined up, he could lean if not posed correctly here. But really nice figure. And shout out to the local friend who shall not be named for privacy reasons. I believe he is the one who picked me up this figure. So I really appreciate that. Because the old man can't make it to the Wal-Mart by the Northway. I mentioned this in my Asbat review. That's the one that gets all these exclusives. That's the one that's got an army of freaking Black Lightnings right now. I almost want to call him Black Adam for some reason. Probably because there was a lot of Black Adam figures too, but that's besides the point. This is a cool figure. I dig it. It's a Greg Weisman character. It's where he got his start in comics. So I do have a lot of respect for the character and a lot of respect for Greg Weisman as a writer. So, you know, I'm a little biased, but I think this is one of the better DC Multiverse figures to come out of 2023. Even though he's relatively simplistic, I do like him a heck of a lot. He's on a really good buck. I think it could be tweaked a bit. I think he could be a little broader, maybe a little bit more meat in the torso and the shoulders there. But for the most part, I think it stacks up quite well. And if you wanted to, I think he fits in good enough with DC Classics. Just like the Martian Manhunter from this line. I think they both stack up well with DC Classics. If they're supposed to be taller characters, then that just works, you know. But with that being said, it's time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, and just to prove that the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line is not just a million Batman variants a year, I mean, it kind of is, but that's not the point. Here is Captain Atom alongside a couple other members of the Justice League. We have Firestorm and Hawkman. These are the collector's editions. The Hawkman is particularly 90s. The Firestorm is relatively classic, but Captain Atom fits on both sides of the spectrum because he pretty much looks the same throughout the course of his existence. He's the silver with the red gloves and boots with that Atom symbol on his chest. You know, his hair maybe looks a little different here and there, but for the most part, relatively the same. If I can move these two without making a mess here. I did have to bring Captain Atom out a little bit just to fit him in frame there. Firestorm. Knock a bunch of crap over off camera. Now bring in our two regulars, the Mythic Legions, Brother Mandibulists, and the infamous 11 Spawn, who, as usual, he doesn't tower over Captain Atom here. He is a little bit taller, but not by a lot. So, that's your lot, man. So with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, my personal biases towards this character's background aside, I think good old Captain Atom here is a fine addition to the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. Not only because he's a character we don't see very often despite his questionable popularity, we'll say. I mean, I think he's a popular character, but what do I know, right? That said, all that aside, he just pops on a shelf, man. He's got a nice presence despite his simplistic character design. The coloring is what makes this character pop, and I think he looks really cool. Not a lot of marbleization here. Again, I don't know if it's paint or if it's just well-molded silver plastic, but kudos to McFarlane Toys for making this guy pop like the dickens. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.